And so, ladies and gentlemen, the left is surely not gonna like this one with New York Giants quarterback Jaxson Dart, who has been receiving backlash from the left for not thinking like them, and he chose to introduce the president at a rally recently in New York City. Then you had one of his teammates, Abdul Carter, who got all up in his feelings about it because how dare Jaxson Dart introduce the president, right, of the United States, right? On his own personal time, right? Not during the season, not during team activities. Apparently, that's enough to demonize Jaxson Dart. This really goes to show you the hypocrisy from Democrats and the reality that they want to destroy what this country is, because despite the fact that they will claim they are all about diversity, right? Everyone having a voice and not silencing anyone, because you know, this is your right in this country. As soon as you don't believe what they believe or agree with what they agree with, now you're racist, now you're hateful, now you're up to something. And it's all just completely fake. As always, if you enjoyed the content, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. Stay locked in with all the future videos. Subscribe to the channel. And so let's start right here.
This was an unforced error by Jaxson Dart. Again, Donald Trump is historically unpopular. You are the quarterback of the New York Giants. What was the point? What is the upside in appearing at this rally?
I think when you know the history of this president and you know the biases of this president, for a certain community, the black community, for me, if this feels personal.
So one of his teammates, a rookie who has not played a single game, Abdul Carter, tweeted that he thought the video of Dart and the president was AI, and then he asked, "What are we doing here, man?" Ironically, Carter's idol growing up was a linebacker named Lawrence Taylor, a Hall of Famer. He even wanted to wear his number, but that number's retired. But I don't remember Dart tweeting about any of this.
I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat. Until I met this man right here. I'll tell you what. He will not have to worry about nobody in my family.
All right, so Abdul Carter did not tweet about Lawrence Taylor introducing Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump and Lawrence Taylor. By the way, here I am with Lawrence Taylor just recently, a legend, both of them. One member of the New York media, though, actually did make sense. Boomer Esiason said that Jaxson Dart did nothing wrong. Take a look.
This was a real error on the part of Abdul Carter, not on the part of Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart was asked to do something to introduce the president of the United States. How many people get an opportunity to do something like that, regardless of who the president is? To put this out like a child on social media is ridiculous. And then when I heard, yeah, we spoke man to man, yeah, there was only one man on that call, and that was Jaxson Dart.
So let's get into this next clip of the New York Giants addressing this entire situation, which really should have never, ever even been a story, if not for the overly emotional teammate, Abdul Carter, who was all caught up in his feelings. You don't like who I like. Getting all in his feelings about what a teammate was doing in the off season, away from the facility, non-team activity. But check this out and what he had to say. Take a listen.
So first off, I want to say that some things are bigger than football, and this is one of those things. Jaxson is one of our leaders. He's the face of our franchise. He not only represents himself and what he does, but he represents all of us. And that goes for anybody who wears a Giants uniform. But if he chooses to align himself with a man like President Trump, it's my responsibility, based on what I believe and what I stand on, to not only show my teammates that I'm against that, but to show the world. And that doesn't mean that we have to spread hate. It doesn't mean that me and Jaxson hate each other or we have beef. I sit next to Jaxson every day. Every team meeting, we close, we talk. You know, as long as we make sure we got the same goal as a team and our goals align, which they do, and I feel like that's all that matters. So I just want to move past this, and yeah, that's it.
Wow. Give me a break, really. This guy doesn't get it. And I know the media is going to give him a pass. Black players standing up, making a political statement, right, against the president. The media is not going to give him any kind of pushback, so I will. Because listen to what he actually said. If Jaxson Dart chooses to align himself with someone like President Trump, then he has to show his teammates and the world he's against that. Listen, if you don't like the president, cool, that's fine. Even if you want to attack the president, cool, fine. But here's the big difference. Jaxson Dart did what he did on his own time. This guy is now at a team event, OTAs, making a political statement against a teammate, mind you, who has a different perspective than him. When you say someone chooses to align themselves with a man like the president, he's not saying that as a compliment, ladies and gentlemen. I think we all understand that. He's saying that as a negative, taking a shot at Dart and the fact that he does not share a similar political view that he does. And that's the problem, because we know that only goes one way, where the left loves to call out anyone who does not take their same position. They must be racist. They must be demonized for it. And what's so funny about this is that the head coach, John Harbaugh, actually has shown support for Trump. And, you know, they actually have some type of relationship. And so check out what he had to say. Take a listen.
John, just to clarify.
Last one.
You said you knew that Jaxson was going to meet the president and shake his hand. Did you know that it was going to be in a public way introducing the president?
No, but it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I'm not into all those details about it. It's not something that concerns me.
Exactly. Listen, there are far bigger and more harmful things that NFL players do in their off time that no one ever speaks about. Domestic abuse, committing crimes, drug problems. And players understand that that is that man's life to figure out, deal with, and go through, whatever the case may be. And will not say a word, interestingly enough. But if you got a different political view that doesn't align with yours, Abdul Carter wants to announce it to the world and show he's standing on business. I mean, give me a break. All he did was show how emotional he is. And so let's check out Jaxson Dart, because he was forced to actually address this issue, something that should have been a non-story, just an honor, no matter who the president is, Democrat or Republican. Jaxson Dart is all of what? 23, 24 years old, if that, I think, and had a chance to introduce a sitting president. That's an honor in itself, period.
Appreciate y'all being here. I understand that there's probably going to be questions that involve off the field topics, and for that I have a statement, and I hope I can answer as many of those questions that y'all may have. And I ask that can talk about football after that, and I hope that you know, we can understand and respect that from each other. You know, obviously this was a unique opportunity. You know, being asked and given the opportunity to introduce the President of the United States. You know, my thinking was pretty simple, in the fact of, you know, I've always loved this country. I have extended family members who have fought in wars. I have two uncles who have retired from the Air Force Academy and served themselves. And I even have a great-grandfather who served as Secretary of Treasury at some point. So the president position has always been a position that I've well respected, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of political party. And you know, my intentions were just that. I also understand in this world, politics can be a sensitive matter, a sensitive topic. I also understand that I am the quarterback of the New York Giants, and that involves a lot of responsibility. It's under a limelight, under a microscope, and there's a lot that comes with that, and it's been something that I've embraced. I've loved being here. I've loved the city of New York. I love the city of New Jersey, the people that I've met here. It's just been a really amazing experience, and there's not another place that I'd rather be. You know, most importantly, the people in this organization, my teammates, the staff, coaches, everybody that has a hand. Jose, you name it. You know, I've loved making relationships with them and growing connections, and that's the kind of person that I am. I'm a connector. I love making relationships with people. I love hearing everybody's stories and being somebody who, you know, people can rely on to be there for them. And most importantly, I can honestly say that I love every single, you know, one of my brothers, my teammates on this team.
regardless of politics, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of anything that may be different between us. Like, I love them, and they know exactly what kind of person that I am, who comes into the facility every day, and who lays, I lay my body on the line for my guys each and every week. And it's from the connections that we build, the love that we have for each other. I've been somebody who's always respected, the different perspectives that people may have, the backgrounds that they come from. I understand that, we have such a cool opportunity as people, to be in a locker room where it's a melting pot of people from everywhere, and we get to be together. I think that the connections that we build are special because, we're able to have vulnerable conversations. We're able to learn from each other, to support each other, irrespective of the color of our skin. And, we have a real brotherhood. We've had a lot of honest conversations with each other as a team. And I like to keep those things private between me and my teammates. And just everything that's been said. But I love these guys, and going forward, I can't wait for what more we have to grow, the culture of this team, our brotherhood. And obviously we understand the biggest goal is to be the best team that we can be, to put ourselves in the best position to succeed, to chase a championship, to be the best players for Coach Harbs and all the coaches here. And, that's our focus going forward each and every day. And can't wait to continue to do that. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and so apparently, according to Jemele Hill, because Jaxson Dart is this white quarterback who carries himself in a way where black people see him and say, oh, he's cool. He got some swag to him. He's not a square. He's not a corny white guy. But because he does not share the same political perspective, now Jemele Hill wants everybody to be all in their feelings. And now apparently she's out here calling herself warning black people. Take a listen.
Let this be example number 2,000,001 of why just because somebody appears to love black culture don't mean they really fuck with black people. And by that, I mean this, is that everybody was giving Jaxson Dart the swag pass in the cookout class because he iced out, because he do his little end zone dances. And there was this immediate rush to be like, oh, he one of us, so he invited to the cookout. And when I say they don't mess with black people, meaning that it's not disqualifying for them to associate themselves with somebody who is bigoted, who is racist, who constantly traffics in white supremacist talking points. Abdul Carter is a black man and a Muslim, so it wasn't a surprise that he had a problem with Jaxson Dart aligning himself with Trump. But again, I just wanted to remind y'all, doing a couple dances, listening to our music, knowing some rap lyrics does not mean you get any free passes, any cookout passes, or none of that. So go tell your manager, this is a friendly PSA.
Are we at a place where anybody can say that if you're an athlete, you shouldn't be up on a political stage speaking?
Well, sports and politics have always mixed. I mean, they've mixed since the days of George Washington. What changed about this narrative of sports and politics not belonging together is when, frankly, black athletes started to show more agency and started to speak more about some of the conditions that people in their community were facing, or even some of the experiences that they had. That's when it became, oh no, don't mix sports and politics. In this particular case, this was an unforced error by Jaxson Dart. Again, Donald Trump is historically unpopular.
Correction, President Trump is historically unpopular with the media. Because I'm old enough to remember that, yeah, Obama was unpopular too, with a lot of people. But he had the media supporting him. He was cool. I remember he had swag, the way he talked, the way he walked. Celebs liked him. You had mainstream rap artists at that time making songs about him. And so it's not that athletes are just afraid to talk about politics. Because if you're supporting the left, then you are seen as some sort of crusader, showing your social awareness. No one said anything when, you had people like, Steve Kerr, Golden State Warrior head coach. He spoke out. Greg Popovich, Spurs coach, he spoke out against Trump. You even had Steph Curry. No one said any negative words from the media. And so it's really a one-sided issue in how you get treated if you speak out, because if you're a conservative, then suddenly it's a problem. And let's be real. While I'm sure there are some athletes who care about politics, they are just like regular people when it comes to that. They have things going on in their lives and do not really care that much to share with everybody.
You are the quarterback of the New York Giants. What was the point? What is the upside in appearing at this rally? Now, he has a right to support whoever he wants, but Abdul Carter has a right to criticize his support of that. And a lot of athletes, partly what makes them hesitant about talking about their political beliefs is that they don't want the blowback and they don't want the resistance and how people might feel about it. So, yeah, his teammate, who is a Muslim, who is a black man in America, had every right to question him about what that support means, especially when you are considered to be the face of the organization and the sort of default leader of the entire team.
Even if that's the case, is that our business or is it the team's business? Is that between Jaxson Dart and Abdul Carter? If he really felt some kind of way, he could have just approached him and had a one-on-one conversation. Instead, he went to social media. That's the problem. Now, either he's just tremendously naive to how this was going to blow up, which shows a level of just not thinking smart, or he wanted to make it public and let everybody know. Either way, it should have been kept between them or just the team and never become something that became national news. And that was on Abdul Carter's actions, not Jaxson Dart's.
They're both got the free speech rights to do and associate.
They sure do.
And neither one of them was using the football field or their jersey or their helmet as a platform.
He was actually leading a chant that was associated with the team at the rally, and it was incredibly embarrassing.
It's not during the game. It's not people who paid the I'm going to go watch Bruce Springsteen tomorrow night, and I'm going to agree with none of his politics, but I agree with all of his songs, and I'm going to enjoy that part of the show. And, he's going to use the whole concert for that. Jaxson Dart is not using the Giant Stadium, MetLife Stadium, whatever
just
it's called
chance.
now.
Yeah.
It's a.
But it's not really.
He's a private
It's
citizen.
not really about that. He's not a private citizen. I mean, he's a public figure.
He's
so
a
it's
private
a little bit,
citizen. In his life, he gets to vote just like everybody
But
else
who is his, when we think about who is he accountable to, it's his teammates first and his city second, right? His state, his
He's
team.
accountable to himself about his politics.
Well, he's going to be accountable on the internet.
It's actually kind of hilarious listening to the argument they're making. Dart is accountable to his teammates first and the city second. These people are clueless about how sports actually work. He's accountable to the person who signs his check, the owner. Because if not, he's out of there. Just like all of us who work for someone. That's number one. The city, as long as he's playing well, scoring touchdowns, helping the team win, they're gonna love him. And you know how I know this? Because players have done things that are actually really awful. Really awful, disgusting things. And fans still supported them because they helped the team win. And so it's not about being accountable to a city. No. Because the second that man starts costing them wins, they're going to want him benched or traded for the next big name.
I feel we're so hypocritical on this, Abby.
Why is that?
Because when Steve Kerr and the Warriors come out and condemn Trump, does anybody on this panel say, oh, that's out of line? They shouldn't do that. Jaxson Dart has every right to be there with the President of the United States. And when people are invited and teams win national championships and they're invited to the White House, they should go. And yet every time there's a political statement, we're not going to be there with Donald Trump, the media justifies it, says it's fine. When Jaxson Dart goes to rallies, all of a sudden we're going to criticize it?
But this is about the person, though, not just the office, though. That's what I'm
was
saying.
there a person? Was everybody okay? Was anybody get upset with Steve Kerr?
Well, and by the way, all players didn't go see Obama. There were some that decided to sit out and not go because they didn't agree with his politics, and that's totally fine. I don't have an issue with that.
But it's not fine.
No, it's fine.
You're talking about two different things. You're talking about,
I didn't say he didn't have a right to go. What I said is when you do that, you're going to open yourself up to criticism.
This story is so ridiculous. It is really showing how badly the left wants to police and politicize anyone who does not agree with their ideology, right? Because if this was Obama or even Biden and you had a white quarterback introducing them, no problem. I mean, could you imagine, especially if it was Obama? White quarterback would get a lifetime pass to the cookout. But since they hate Trump, if you don't hate him too, they want you to suffer in some way, shape, or form. And this is just the blatant hypocrisy by the left who gets so in their feelings, oh, you support Trump? Then we want to demonize you to the highest level. And it's really just annoying at this point because the hypocrisy that exists and they pretend it's not even there. But those are my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comment down below. I appreciate when you chime in. Don't forget, enjoy the content. Smash that thumbs up. For more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.